Okay, so it is Tuesday, July the 3rd, I guess, and so I'm at the beginning of my painting cycle, and that's where I start a new painting. I'm usually doing about one a week now, and that's pretty good for me. So I thought I'd say how I start out, since it might not be totally obvious. So what I do is, more often than not, I have ideas in my head regarding what I might want to paint. I'm either thinking about concepts that I've learned about, or I'm thinking about places that I've seen, or other artists' work that I've seen, something along those lines. And what I'm usually looking for is to be able to marry up that concept or idea with an image. Or sometimes I'll even start with the image first. I'll have it and I'll not know what to do with it, and then I'll marry that up with the concept later on as I learn. So what I have right here are pictures of two buildings in San Andreas, and I've had this image since December of last year, and I've not really known what to do with it. I didn't think there was anything there for me. Rich wasn't excited about the picture, from a photographer's perspective. He didn't think there was a lot going on, but I like it because of where I was standing and how the two buildings are sort of intersecting together like that. I liked it for that reason. I like the light and shadow with it also. And as I was saying, usually I start the paintings with a concept or something that I've learned. And in this case, these two buildings are the perfect intersection of me having learned more about Edward Hopper, who was a 20th century painter, realistic painter. And he was real interested in light and shadow, strong light and shadow, and the geometric forms created by that light and shadow, and what happens when those come together on the picture plane. So I'm real interested in his work, and for that reason. And then also at the same time, during the same time frame, there was another gentleman by the name of Charles Sheeler. He was a photographer and painter and printmaker and illustrator. They all seem to have these multiple roles that they played. Anyway, he taught himself photography, and he was interested in light and shadow, just like Hopper. But because he had a photographer's background and a photographer's eye, he was interested in how flat planes of color occupy kind of a two-dimensional space. And so I'm really interested in that too. So I think for this particular painting, I've got those two artists in mind, as well as a concept of strong light and shadow, and that's what's drawing me to this building here. So I went out to San Andreas this morning. I said that's where these buildings were, and I went to do the second thing in my process. First thing is, of course, identifying a picture and the concept, putting those together. The second thing I do is to go out into the field and work directly with the subject for observation. And by that, I mean I look to see if I can identify the colors that I'm looking at. I look to see if I can identify saturation level of those colors. I look for comparative values to see if I can say, well, this awning is darker than that, pavement is darker than that window, that sort of thing. I sort of assign a hierarchy of values and try and condense all the values that I see. I don't want 20 different values. I want maybe like 3 or 4. So anyway, that's what I do when I go out in the field. I'm taking observational notes, and I write those things down, and I come back to my studio and I use those notes to reference as I'm going along painting. I find that it really helps. It not only helps me with the painting to keep it kind of real, so to speak, but those observational notes are invaluable when I want to connect with the subject. It would be impossible for me to connect with these buildings if I didn't, A, see them every day practically, and B, if I hadn't gone out again to take my observational notes and really try to understand what colors I was seeing. It'd be real difficult. I've painted strictly from photographs before without any kind of having been there and seen things. It's really tough. I don't do well with that. I have to connect with the subject, kind of feel it, get an idea about the colors. That's real important for my process. I just can't make up a color scheme. That's not my strong suit. So anyway, we'll see where this goes. These are the two preliminary things that I do before I get started. I did the drawing yesterday, very difficult because there's a lot of different intersections of planes and lines, and it's always just a toss-up as to how much detail I'm going to put on the drawing, but I've got the drawing done. So today I'm going to transfer the drawing to the canvas, and I may start painting since it's pretty early in the morning, still it's 9 o'clock. No reason I can't get started, so I'm going to give that a shot and we'll see how it goes. All right, more tomorrow.